Hey guys, Phillips here. This video is going to be a beginner guide to gearing and gambling on a fresh level 70 Demon Hunter. Basically everything I'm going to cover is pretty basic and likely common knowledge for most everybody, especially veteran players. But there's always going to be new people being introduced to the game and such, so this is going to be aimed at that audience. The first thing I want to mention is the number of modifiers that you can get on items. So, like all yellow items and most legendary items can have 4 primary modifiers and 2 secondary modifiers at the most. So like initially, whenever you first hit level 70, it's really important to get, 4 useful primary modifiers. And the example I have here is like these pants. This is a perfect example of basically, nearly perfect pants for rare starting out level 70. You got your dexterity, your vitality, your all res, and your 2 sockets. So all 4 of those primary modifiers are going to be considered useful and very strong. Useless modifiers are going to be like cooldown reduction whenever you don't have any cooldown abilities, or resource reduction whenever you're using all cooldown abilities or something like that, or like intelligence on a demon hunter, something, or like right now I have poison skills on my bracers right here, so that would be considered a useless modifier. It's just a modifier that's not helping me at all. And then there are what I would consider less useful modifiers, which would include like life per second. Like on my boots here, I have life per second, so it's not useless. It does something, but it's not really strong. Like you would rather have something else, so there are more useful modifiers that you could put there. And also like vitality on the jewelry, that would be like a less useful modifier because you would rather have some damage modifiers on the jewelry. So if you're not familiar, generally you want to keep damage modifiers on jewelry and the core stats on your armor. So that's how the roles are working on the items. Now with all that said, the idea is pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. What you want to do is get 4 useful modifiers on all of your items. Saving the jewelry and the weapon for the last. You don't want to waste a bunch of shards gambling just to try to get, perfect rares. Once your rares are like greater than or equal to 75% useful rolls, so as long as you have 3 out of 4 useful rolls on all of your items, you're going to be in the position to start thinking about gambling on high potential slots. And the example of this kind of a slot is going to be the chest. For the Demon Hunter, there are a lot of chest armors that you can get, including the Cinder Coat, the Cloak of the Garwolf, Natalia's Cloak, and the Marauder Chest. You have the potential to get any one of these items, which when you're first starting out, they're all really, really strong pieces. So usually the high priority pieces are going to be like the chest with all of those. The gloves also, you have Tasker, Mage Fist, and Marauder gloves that you're aiming for. Depending on what kind of drops you get on your way to 70, and once you're at level 70, you might want to prioritize gambling a little differently. But for the most part, the chest and gloves are really good starting out. There are only 5 blood shards, and they have high potential to be good, strong pieces for your Demon Hunter. Mentioned, depending on what you drop, there's going to be a point where you just want to focus on the weakest item that you have that has the highest potential to be an upgrade. So, if you have a good pair of gloves and you have a good chest piece, then, you might want to focus on your helmet or something. And, if you, like, for example, if you have a Natalia weapon and a ring, and you need, or you could use a Natalia helmet and a Marauder helmet, it would be wise to gamble for that helmet, because then if you get Marauder, then you have that for later, and if you get the Natalia, then you have that for now. So you just got to kind of think about where you're at with the items you have, which slot is going to have the most potential for you. So just to kind of give a little demonstration of the gambling on my pants, for example, here you can see I have Vitality, All Res, and Evasive Fire. So none of those are really that great. I mean, You know, the vitality and the all res you do want on your pants, but I'm missing the dexterity and the 2 sockets. So I would gamble on some pants until I get something more along these lines. And that would be considered a big upgrade right there. So you can see, you know, I went from 3 primary with 2 useful to 4 primary with 4 useful. So I basically just got dexterity and 2 sockets for free. So that's a big upgrade. So that's that. You know, again, the important thing is just to have those 4 useful rolls. So like my helmet, another example, I have dexterity, armor, and chakram. Missing possibly crit chance, maybe a socket. So, you know, this 4 primary that I have over here, I get the vitality, and then I could reroll either elemental arrow or armor to crit chance or something like that. And like the gloves, here you can see I have 3 primary, dexterity, vitality, and resource reduction. Generally, starting out on the Demon Hunter, the resource reduction is pretty valuable. It's definitely not a useless modifier, so, but you are missing out on that 4th modifier. There's only 3 primary modifiers, so you would like to have a 4th. So you might gamble to get something more like this. And this isn't ideal because you would have to re-roll the life per hit to get crit chance. But depending on the armor slot, they're not terribly expensive to re-roll. The gloves you can see here, they actually don't cost a death's breath. So like certain slots are going to cost a death's breath, which can be hard to come by. I mean, it's just a matter of managing your resources at this point. What do you want to spend them on? Do you want to reroll a pair of rare gloves that you're probably going to replace? Or do you want to save the materials? But again, you know, the gloves and the shoulders are ones that are very cheap. It's only 8 dust and 1 crystal to reroll these, so not a bad idea. Reroll the gloves and the shoulders and just get you that crit chance, whatever you want on your shoulders. That would be a really big upgrade right there. Something like this. And then the shoulders again are an easy reroll. So try to get all res or something here. There we go. And I think the helmet takes the death breath, so we're not going to worry about rerolling those. I think pretty much all the other slots are taking death breath. The quiver doesn't. And I guess that's about it. The bracers don't. So you can easily reroll your shoulders, your gloves, your bracers, and your quiver. Some of the other slots might be kind of intense on the materials. Let's see if we can get crit chance over here. There we go. I mean, we made a lot of progress just through, you know, gambling a few 4 primary rolls, like those shoulders. Big upgrades there, the helmet again. And then the boots, expensive to reroll, so that would be one that I would kind of just keep gambling on to try to land something a little bit better. There we go, that's the ones. We got dexterity, vitality, all res, and elemental arrow. So that's cool. You're missing the movement speed, but it's not that big of a deal. So I mean, this Demon Hunter, he's looking almost in shape, you know. He's got pretty much all of his slots tied up with the primary rolls. Missing 1 primary on my belt. You know, my weapon obviously could be way better, but almost everything has 4 primary rolls that are all useful. So this is the point where I would start to focus on, you know, the high potential slots like the chest piece and the gloves. Maybe the belt, depending on what you're doing. The Harrington, if you're not doing greater rifts, the Harrington is a very high potential item. And then just kind of work on filling in your Marauder pieces. And again, you know, if you can, craft some stuff. And one thing that is worth mentioning in terms of crafting and having resources is going to be the Reaper wraps. So there are bracers that you can craft that are very strong for the Demon Hunter. And most of the plan drops are just random drops, so you can't really target any of these plans. Like if I wanted to, normally starting out on a Demon Hunter, I would recommend Captain Crimson and Oghill. but you can't go and just get this plan. You have to end up dropping it. So if you do drop it, then you can craft it, but if you don't get it, then you can't craft it. The Reaper Wraps is an exception to that situation because it's a 100% drop chance off of Malthael. So you just go kill Malthael, the last boss. You can do it in bounty and adventure mode, and then you get the plan, and you teach it, and then you can craft these. And this is going to be a very strong item for Demon Hunters starting out. Definitely highly recommended any starter Demon Hunter to get a pair of these. It's going to make you much stronger. And I do have a video on entry crafting, so if crafting is an option, as I mentioned earlier, the Oghill and the Crimson is going to be really nice, and I do have a video that I will reference explaining that. So that's pretty much it. You know, it's a pretty basic video, pretty simple stuff, common knowledge for the most part. Anyways, I hope there's at least a few people that find this video beneficial, and I hope you guys have fun. See you next time.